Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. This is Kemi, and I'm here to talk about Real Housewives of Rhode Island, Season 1, Episode 9. Now, before we begin, make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. All right, so we start the episode off with Kelsey calling Liz and telling her what happened with her and Rosie, and that Rosie kicked her out and called her a slut and all this other stuff. She's saying in her confessional that Rosie was talking about her sleeping with married men when the truth is Rosie is the one who she slept with not one but two different married men. The first one, she ruined his marriage. The second one paid her off, and that's why she can't talk about it. And that's the reason why she bought this house with that money or whatever. She doesn't tell Liz that she rolled up to that girl's house going off going off of speaking on a loudspeaker, trying to make a joke of what she had said about her. She doesn't tell her that. She just tells her that they got into it and Rosie did X, Y, and Z. She does not tell her part in the whole thing, but I digress. Also, I didn't get to mention this in the last one with Rosie. Yes, Kelsey came on there on some BS, but Rosie, you was also on that BS because you had your blueprints laid out for her to show her, boom, this is what it is. So you was ready for the ish. You was ready for the ish and giggles too. So I know in my last video I was annoyed and going off on Kelsey, but Rosie, you played a part into it also because you came there. You were there on the assumption of I'm gonna prove her right. I'm gonna prove her wrong. I'm sorry. So we see Rosie, she calls Ashley and she tells her what happened. So she tells her, she came and she did all that other stuff, and then um all this other extra stuff. Again, she doesn't really tell her what she said or her portion of it. She just tells her that she kicks her out. I think she says what she said. I can't remember. But she tells Ashley that because we see Ashley, she's at Restaurant Depot with her husband, and they're getting stuff because they're going to do a trivia night at Audrey's, the coffee shop. Rosie is telling Ashley that if Kelsey is there, then she's not going to be there. And Jared, and they get off the phone, Jared tells her that's not right for her to put you in the middle, but you need to do what you feel is right. So we see Rulla, she's meeting Alicia at the beach, and they run into a neighbor of Joe Ellen's who used to be close with Joe Ellen, but they no longer talk because Joe Ellen stirred up some trouble and she stirred up some stuff and it caused trouble between them. So they're no longer friends. So Rulla is saying that she doesn't want to go to trivia night because if Joe Ellen is there, she wants to keep her distance from her and for her own well-being. Rula is trying to stay zen and smile. And Brian used to kiss the ground that she walked on, and it's hard for her to believe stuff like that. And she's working on repairing how she used to feel. Alicia wants her to be happy with whatever she is doing. She does, and she's like, she's saying in her confessional, she doesn't know how to tell her about the video. Alicia then talks about her not having anything on her own, and if Billy were to leave her, she would have nothing. And how Rula is lucky that she's working and she has her own because she doesn't need a man. So Rula tells her you need to figure it out. Sooner you're going to need to figure it out sooner, because if it does happen, you'll be five times worse. um she tells her to claim her stake in the restaurant and to put a business plan together, um so that he can take you seriously, basically. So Alicia's afraid of making demands. Alicia is afraid to make demands to get her stake in the company, but Rula tells her you need to get your ducks in a row. And then she says, "You should. I hope you're putting money to the side." And Alicia's just like, "I used to put $10, but I'm not no more." And Rula's just like, "Well, it's better than having zero." So we see the trio of Joe Ellen, her husband, Liz, her husband, and then Kelsey and Bill. They are at they're at a dinner or whatever. Um, yeah, they're at the dinner, and Joe asks, Joe Ellen tells him that Rosie called her and told her what happened or whatever. And in the confessional, Liz is like, Joe Ellen is playing both sides. So Joellen tells them what she said, what Joellen tells them what Rosie said, and Kelsey tells them what happened. Um, and about Joellen saying that she was sucking dick for a job. And they all laugh at her. Then she mentions how she called her a slam pig. They don't know what it is, but then they look it up and it's not nice, it's derogatory. Liz doesn't like slut shaming and all this other stuff. Yet your friend slut shamed her, but okay, whatever. Joe says that Rosie isn't going to trivia night if Kelsey is going to be there, and Kelsey is just like, "Well, good. I'm going because I want to support Ashley and Jared." So then she asks them, "Is it okay if your ex pays for things for you? If your ex pays for things for you for an extended period of time?" They all say that's fine. Um, and then Gary asks, is he asking for anything in return? And she makes a joke of, I have to go blow him once a week. And they're all looking like, wait, what? And she was just like, no, he's not, no, he's not. And clearly her jokes aren't hitting, but she keeps saying she's making jokes. But whatever. So Joe Ellen asks Bill if he's okay with it, and Kelsey says in her confessional that Bill wanted her to move in with him right away, but she wanted to live on her own for a year. But if things get serious with her and Bill, then her ex is gonna stop paying for the apartment. Um, and Bill says, he doesn't want him to pay for it. And she says she doesn't want to be homeless like Alicia. So then they talk about Alicia saying she was homeless, and I need to figure out the ages of these people, because from how it seems is, I don't know, I don't really know the ages of these people, because the way it seems is Kelsey, Rosie, Ashley, and Joe Ellen are all like in their late 30s, early 40s, and then Alicia and Liz are like in their 50s. But then Gary's husband, not husband, Joellen's husband, Gary, is older. I mean, is I don't know how old he is, because then Alicia was friends with Jen because they're close in age. But then Joellen, I'm guess because I if I'm not mistaken, like, because I think in the first episode it was basically we figured out that Joellen's husband is about 4 years older than her, because she met him when he was a senior and she was a freshman. But he used to date her sister, which is friends with um lit no friends with Alicia, and they went to school together, so she knows Joe Ellen's husband. They were in Sunday school together, and he says in this episode that his mom and Liz's mom have been best friends since the age of 17. So I don't know, but yeah, so child, I don't know. So he was just like, yeah, they've been best friends since the age of 17, and I don't ever remember her being homeless. So they talk about that. Uh, Joe talks about her walk with Alicia and downplays how she felt. Liz says your dad can't take away the house from your mom and your kid. Joellen wishes Liz went on the walk with them so she would have heard what was said. She doesn't want to tell them what Alicia said because she says it was private, but she's never heard that side of her. Liz says she's known Alicia since she was a kid, and she was never homeless. Gary says, that's when Gary says their mom is about best friends or whatever. Kelsey then says, so she exaggerated a little bit. She's been hanging around Rosie too much. Girl, Leave that ish alone. Now, what I will say with the whole homeless situation, I get both sides. So, well, we'll talk about it when we get to that scene. So we're at trivia night, and Ashley is nervous because both Rosie and Kelsey are both coming, but she has them sitting at different tables. So at the table with Ashley is going to be Rosie, Ashley, and Liz, and then Joellen, Kelsey, and Alicia are going to be at the other table, which is next to them or whatever. So Rosie shows up first, and Rosie's there first, and she tells her Kelsey's coming. Rosie's a little bit pissed, but she's just like, whatever. Liz then shows up, and again, that's when she finds out she's at the table with them. Joellen comes in. She's at the table with Alicia and Kelsey, but she stays. She stays with them until the other ladies come. Rulla isn't coming. We already knew that. So Joellen asks Rosie, how she's doing, and Rosie explains, what happened. Liz, asked the question. She was just like, "Well, don't do you think she was being funny?" And not Joellen, but Rosie is just like, "I didn't think it was funny," and she's trying to explain it, but Liz is interrupting her, and Joellen is telling Liz like, "Let her explain," and then Liz goes in her confessional and she says, did Rosie really feel disrespected, or can she not take a joke? And it was just like, no, she felt disrespected because it wasn't funny. At the end of the day, what Kelsey did wasn't funny, and she didn't apologize either. So no, Kelsey was wrong. It wasn't funny. So so then we see Alicia shows up and the event starts or whatever. So they're at their tables. Joellen tells Alicia what happened, and Alicia says Rosie has had it with Kelsey. So here comes Kelsey coming in, making a grand entrance. So she comes in with a slam. She has a sash that says "Slam Pig," and she says, "Hi, everyone." She says, she comes in and she says the Slam Pig of the United States, or Miss Slam Pig of USA or whatever. So she comes and says hi to everyone, and she hugs Liz, and Liz says, well, she at least she has a sense of humor. Um, she tries to talk to Rosie, and Rosie says they don't need to talk, and then Kelsey agrees, and it was just like, if you agree that they don't need to talk, why did you even say anything to her? You see, you started it with her, but whatever. So um Ashley had walked off. Lit Alicia, Alicia and Joellen and what's her name? Kelsey are sitting at their table. Alicia, not Alicia, I'm so sorry. Liz and Rosie are at their table. Liz gets up and walks over to their table. So she leaves Rosie alone by herself. And Alicia was just like, let me go talk to Rosie. So Alicia goes over, and Liz and Rosie are just like, oh, it's the clique. The clique's over there or whatever. So she Alicia asks her what happens and says she's being picked on a lot. She doesn't like it. Liz comes back and tells her to remember who she is and stop trying to prove a point. Then they all come over to the table, and Alicia asks why Rosie called Joellen. And Rosie says she's been nice to her and she feels comfortable with her. Joellen is just, and when she says that, Liz and Kelsey look at Joellen like, girl, what? Like how you being nice to her? And it's just like, so what did y'all have on the side? But whatever. So yeah, I said, oh yeah, I said in my notes, Liz and Kelsey looked at Joellen like, girl, what? You the main mean girl. What's going on? That's the look that they gave her. So Joellen was just like, I send memes. She's trying to be nice to Rosie or whatever. So Alicia says she hates being in the middle and she wants to defend Rosie, but um she doesn't want to let the other girls down. So Joellen says Kelsey was trying to be funny, and um yeah, Joellen says she tells Rosie Kelsey was trying to be funny, and Rosie says, well, it wasn't funny, and she was mocking me and attacking her. And Kelsey was just like, I didn't attack you. Rosie tells her, shut the F up. Um, and that everyone has always been on team Kelsey, and they're letting her attack her. Joellen says she was just trying to be funny, and Rosie keeps saying it wasn't funny. Kelsey is just like, it was. Joellen tells Kelsey, well, you hurt her feelings. And Kelsey is just like, everything hurts her feelings. And it said, and you see, this is the problem. You keep invalidating what this girl is what Rosie is feeling. You keep saying, oh, it is what it is, blah, 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 blah. And it's just like, that's not cool. That's not right. And that's why she's not comfortable being her true, authentic self to you, because you keep belittling her, you keep making her feel away, and you don't care. And at this point, if you don't care, then stop picking at that girl. She's saying that y'all keep picking at her, and that's what you keep doing, and you won't stop, and that's why it's an issue. So they start to argue, and everyone is now watching them. Ashley is back now, and she yells over them and says, are you guys not tired of arguing? Joellen says, oh my God, that's embarrassing, even at your own business. Rosie says in her confessional, these girls and their clique know what they're doing is wrong, and they're gonna let Kelsey be mean to her, and they want her to just let it go, and she's not letting it go anymore. So Rosie says she's not doing it because there's no apology, and Kelsey says, why should I apologize after what you said? Because you started it. If you would have just apologized in that moment when she told you it wasn't funny and she didn't think it was funny, it wouldn't have went that far. But you wanted to double down in the fact that you were being funny, lets me know that you were actually being mean and rude, and you were trying to make fun of her and not make y'all laugh together. You were trying to make fun of her instead of y'all laughing together about it. So that's why you won't apologize for it, because you meant it in a disrespectful way. I'm sorry, and now you're just like, well, I'm not going to apologize because you went there with me. And it's just like, but you started it. So, Ashley's starting to crash out. Jared is telling her, go into the office, relax, like, chill out. She comes back to the table and says, can they have a conversation that isn't about drama? Alicia says, y'all don't F with each other. Y'all don't F with each other's person. So this is stupid. Rosie says it wasn't a joke. It was everything. It wasn't a joke, and it was everything that led up to this. It's been weeks. Kelsey says Rosie is unwilling to listen to anyone's. She's unwilling to listen to other people's side of the story, and that's why she doesn't have friends. And it's just like, what side is she unwilling to listen to with you? I need you to tell me that part, because whatever side that you're going to say, it still isn't funny. So they continue to argue. Rosie gets up to leave and says the clique needs to stop clicking. Alicia follows her out, and the rest stay. And Kelsey says, oh, she hates that this happened in Ashley's place. And it's just like, but again, you started it because you came in there on some ill intentions after you specifically told Ashley that, I don't think she told Ashley, but she was saying that she was coming there to support them. You came in there on some ill intentions, and that's why it went left. You didn't have to come in there with that damn slam pig sash on. You didn't have to come in there announcing yourself as a slam pig. You didn't have to come in there and say anything to Rosie after y'all had that blowout. Just like you ignored when y'all were at the castle, you ignored Rosie when she spoke to you in the morning after she kicked you out of your room. you could have easily not said anything to her in this moment, just like in that moment, but you wanted to look like you're making, like you're having fun and making light of stuff, but you're really not. You're being a mean girl to her, and it's not cute. It's not. So we see Alicia. She's at home and she wants to have a conversation with Billy. So she makes a little business proposal to him. So she shows it to him. She did a really good job. She had like a little a three, one of them. I forgot what they're called. It's not a poster board, but the one with the three, like you used to do in the science fairs. I don't know if they still do that, but back in the days. But she has that, and then she shows him like the different little things that she would implement at the restaurant. She wants to do like uniforms. She wants to do heart pieces, and not just for Valentine's. She wants to put little notes in the boxes, just she does like, does these little things. She shows her PowerPoint presentation on the TV, and he likes the ideas, and they start talking about what's next. She doesn't want her daughter to rely on a man like she does. He tells her he doesn't trust her with the business entirely. She wants to know where she stands if anything were to happen to him. He tells her that she would get everything, but she's not listening. And he's like, I have a money manager that handles all of this. And she's like, so he has a money manager to handle all of this because she can't handle it. And she says, so I would still have someone controlling me even in your passing or whatever. He tells her she doesn't have an understanding of all of these things, and she gets defensive. She isn't really listening to him. She's afraid that what happened to her as a kid would happen to her daughter as a kid. He's trying to like let her know that's not the case. So she then tells him, if we open up any more pizza mamas, can she have part ownership in it, like 5 or 10%? And he says yeah. So he tells her, you came in, you made it great, and she should be compensated for it. So she's happy about this, and so she, like, writes it down. Like, she's like, X, Y, and Z, I'll get 10% share, blah 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 blah. He tells her that he loves what she came up with, and to pick one piece and make it happen. So she's happy that they've come to that conclusion. So we go to Ashley. She's at home. Rosie calls her and apologizes for trivia night. She tells them that she's inviting all the girls minus Kelsey to see Rich perform in Boston. She says she isn't inviting Kelsey to anything that's important to her ever again. Ashley can't wait to see how the group acts when there's no drama. We see Rosie. She's at home and she is getting ready for the trip. She talks about how she and Rich met. He was working as a line producer at some place, and he asked her to be in one of his music videos, and she was a groupie in the video. That's how they met. X, Y, and Z. She tells him what happened she tells him what happened with Kelsey. He's happy that, or he's hoping that nothing will happen at his event, and she's just like, everything's gonna be good because the person who always causes everything isn't gonna be there. Well, so we see Alicia and Liz. They're meeting at Joellen's place to they're not yeah they're meeting at Joellen's place to go to the performance, to go to drive to the performance from Joellen's place or whatever, because they're going to take a car. So they talk about Kelsey and Rosie. Alicia brings up her mom, and she brings up her mom and how her and her mom were talking about her dad or whatever. And then they talk about the homeless moment, and Liz and Alicia start to argue about Alicia saying she was homeless. Alicia's pissed and thinks that Liz wanted to dissect her wording, and instead of her just listening and being there for her, she wanted to discredit her. Liz says she's sorry, but Alicia doesn't believe her because she keeps bringing it up. Liz is just like, I didn't bring it up, you brought it up. Alicia says, no, I was talking about my mother. Joellen tries to mediate, but Alicia starts to cry. Liz says she didn't mean to invalidate her feelings in the moment and she's sorry that she jumped on that phrase, but now her character is being attacked. And now she's showing her true colors and she isn't Rosie. She isn't going to sit there and get attacked. Liz is pissed and Joellen is trying to calm him down, but Liz is not hearing it from her. She calls in her confessional. She calls Joellen fake, phony, and disingenuous. And and she says when they were at the dinner, she when they were at the triple date or whatever, Joellen was playing it off like she was feeding into it, but now Liz is a bad guy and she isn't happy. Um, and she isn't happy about this and she hasn't been this angry in a long time. She apologizes to Alicia one more time, but Alicia's just like she's done. She's crying and Liz is pissed, and that's how the episode ends. So yeah, so this was also a really good episode. My thoughts on the homeless comment: I get both sides. So I get what Alicia was saying, not that she was physically homeless, but she felt like she lost her home. So she was homeless. Not like I'm living under a bridge, but the home that she had, she no longer has it. So her wording was wrong because again, when you think of homeless, you think of unhoused people. So I get the wording. So that's why I said I get both sides. So I get Liz jumping on, girl, you weren't homeless. Why are you saying you was homeless? You wasn't living under a bridge and looking for scraps. That's not what it was. You got a big family. You was living with your grandparents. You weren't homeless. But at the same time, Alicia doesn't know how to say things. She doesn't know how to word things. In her mind, she felt like she was homeless because she no longer had the home that she was living in and growing in. That's why she felt like she was homeless, even though she wasn't physically homeless. But Liz is on that physically you are homeless, and she can't get up off of that because she feels like your family was big enough that you have a big enough family that they would never let you be homeless. So why would you put that out into the atmosphere or into the world that you were possibly homeless when you really wasn't? So yeah, so I get it. I get both sides of it. I just feel like, Liz, you said your piece, leave it alone. A lot of these girls, I feel like they on that I have to be right. And I'm not gonna lie, I be like that sometimes too. Like when I'm talking to people sometimes and they're like, oh no, it's like this. And I'm just like, well, no, I could have sworn this is what it was. I'm gonna be like, let me look it up and make sure that I'm not tripping. Because in my mind, I just gotta be like, well, was I really tripping? So I get that. But I don't do it in a way where it's like I have to prove you wrong. I do it on a way because in my mind, I have to make sure that I was right. I'm gonna think about it and be like, dang, is that what it was? Let me, I'm tripping. But I'm not just gonna keep putting it in your face to be like, see, look, this is what it was. You're wrong. I'm right. No. That's not what I'm on. But some of these girls, that's what they on. And that's not a good look sometimes. But you don't hate. Everybody is their own person. But yeah, it was a good episode. I liked it. I like this show. I'm having fun. I am all caught up. I'm so proud of myself. But make sure you guys are liking, subscribing, and turning on your post notifications so you'll know whenever I post. Get down in the comments. Tell me what you guys thought of this episode. And I will see you guys in the next one.